Welcome back to Darkness Falls. This is part 3 of tips and tricks for beginners. This time we'll talk about food. I split all the food you can make in a game to 5 categories, depending on the wellness, of course, drinks, and I found some of the special food as well. I will showcase this one by one, and we'll talk a little bit more about which food is good to make, which is tedious and not really worth it, and so on and so on. This is all pure my opinion. By all means, it's not the general knowledge. It's kind of like what I like to do, what I don't like to do. So let's get started. So the first category, drinks, pretty straightforward. We've got a beer, which doesn't give you any water, but gives you brawling damage, stun resist, and really good stamina regen. Also give you 5 wellness, which is the highest one for the drinks. After we have a murky water, pretty standard, gives you dysentery. Don't drink it early on. Uh, a lot of people using it later on with a mod in a helmet to put out the fire caused by demons. The reason they use this is because it stacks very well. It stacks on 125, so we put it to the slot and we basically forget about this, comparing to 10 basically or 15 when we talk about the orange tea. After we have the boiled water, which is pretty standard, used as an emergency or cooking, mostly for cooking. You will need a lot of the boiled water to make plastic later on. Apart of this, nothing interesting. After coconut water, which interesting enough is you can make it with an empty glass jar. You don't have to have a glass full of water, obviously. You just have to have the empty glass jar and the coconut, which is kind of useful. After we have yucca juice, which is not very good. In vanilla, it's much better. In Darkness Falls, it's not very good. It just gives you 20 water. That's it. Nothing else. After we have the apple juice and the orange juice, they both give the same 24 water, no stamina regen, and 1 wellness. After that, we have the golden rod tea, which gives you 25 water. It has the ability to cure dysentery, which is a good thing, but only 20%. So if the dysentery is over 20%, you have to drink more than 1, basically. And gives you the wellness of 1. The red tea, which gives you efficient digestion, which means that you will burn through the food slower by 15% for 4 minutes. Pretty useful early on. I use it a lot early on. Later, you can make it as a recipe to make the elixir, and gives you current wellness of 1 as well. The pure mineral water, the best water in vanilla, in Darkness Falls is not. A part of the efficient digestion, which is useful, cure dysentery, as a golden rod tea, which is also useful. So it's basically golden rod tea and red tea together, and more wellness because it gives you wellness too. Gives you just 30 water. That's it. After that, we have the orange tea, which gives you 60 water. It's it's very good. It's very good to use when you have the orange tree around, obviously. Uh, Either the orange tea, either the tomato juice, because it gives exactly the same water. It's very good to use. Although tomato juice, it can be used as part of the different recipes as well. So I usually use the orange tea and save the tomato juice for the different type of food. After we have the Mega Crush, which gives you 40 water, which is good. Also, you can run faster by 50%, and you have the melee damage of 100%. Pretty useful early on if you have the melee, especially when you don't have any vehicle to go around. Use it. And the last one is a coffee, which gives you current wellness 5, so the same like beer. Also gives you 25 water and 25% of stamina regen, which is good, and cold resist, which is, I guess, useful. I mean, it's logical, but I never drink it because of this. I usually drink it because from the vanilla there was this kind of perk that you could drink the coffee and you get 20%. I think 20% better in mining. I think in Darkness Falls is the same, so I usually use it for mining. That's it. Pretty straightforward. Next category is food that does not give you any wellness. It's early game food, most of it, or usually part of the different recipes. Cornbread gives you 4 food. That's it. Max stamina bonus. Then yeah, don't eat it. Don't use it. Use it as a part of the recipe. It's basically used as a part of the recipe. A part of the 4 foods. Comparing to how to make it is not worth it at all. Charred meat. The only reason to use it is if you do not have anything else, especially because it gives you -2 water also. So it actually gives you something, it actually is taking something back from you. After that, baked apple, pretty standard, 5 food, that's it. Corn on the cob, the same thing, 5 food, no wellness, that's it. Bread, 5 food. It's used as a part of the recipe. It's good to make it, it's not don't good to eat it like you would in a real life. You don't want to eat like dry bread and that's it, unless you really like it and it's fresh from the oven. A part of this is a part of the recipe. You make a sandwich out of it. In Darkness Falls as well. The grilled yakka, 5 food, the same thing. Boiled eggs, 5 food. I don't never use them. Never ever use them. Eggs are really useful to make the recipe for ink, and because it's really tedious to find them, or you have to make the chicken cubes. I never make the boiled eggs. I never make any food with eggs, basically. But as an emergency, it gives you 5 food. Boiled meat give you 5 food and 8 water. Looking at the ingredients for the recipe, you lose 2 water because you basically have to have the meat and the water, and water gives you 10. So you lose 2 water on that recipe, but it's good to eat basically and gives you 5 food as well. Baked potato gives you 8 food, so a little bit better. You can find the potatoes in Darkness Falls anywhere, which is actually better than the baked apples or yakka or something like that. Useful thing early on. Grilled meat, when you have a grill, it gives you 8 food as well. It's a part of the recipe. We'll talk about this in a second, but it gives you 8 food. Bacon and eggs, it gives you 15 food and takes away 2 water. In vanilla, this recipe is much better. In Darkness Falls, it's relatively good. It's well, it used eggs, so I never use it, but you can use it. This is the stats. Fruit salad, 15 food, no minus on the water, so it's better than make a bacon and eggs in a way. After we have all the foods that you can make with the clay bowl when you find the cans of food. So the cooked pasta give you 20 foods and no food poisoning, obviously. When you eat the pasta out of the can, it gives you the food poisoning, but you can cook it and it doesn't give you any food poisoning. However, it takes two of the cans to make one cooked pasta. Cooked mice, the same thing, also gives you 10 water. Sham soup, the same thing, gives you 10 water, 20 food. Pea soup, the same thing, 20 food, 10 water. Chili, the same thing, 20 food, 10 water. And chicken soup, exactly the same. All those things are the same. After, we have a fish sandwich, which gives you 20 food, 5 health, and max stamina bonus. It's okay. It's good. It doesn't give you bonus, obviously, but it's good. And one of the ingredients is basically bread. You make it in your backpack. You don't make it in a campfire or anywhere. If you will be looking for this in a campfire, you won't find it. You have to make it in a backpack. It's a bit confusing. At least it was confusing for me at the beginning. Steak sandwich, 25 food, 5 health, and 20 max stamina bonus. It's better than a fish sandwich. It's pretty easy to make because you have to have bread and grilled meat. The same deal like with the fish sandwich, that you have to make it in a backpack, and it's pretty good. It's from this category, a part of the jerky. From this category, I think this is the best one. If you reach this point, you are stable. You are relatively stable. And we have the banana bread as well, which gives you 25 food. That's it. I never make it because I think you need the egg for it, but that's the stats. Also, we have the jerky in here. Jerky you can make in the tailoring bench. And looking at the stats are crazy because it gives you 20 food, it gives you 5 health, it gives you 10 water, and 10 max stamina bonus. And all this you get from one meat. I believe it's one meat. It's crazy good. It's locked up behind the master perk, I think survivalist. So you have to have the master survivalist. But I think this food is designed for really later in the game that you already reach the max stamina, max wellness, which is 300. And you don't want to worry about this because at some point the making the food start to be tedious. So this food is designed to actually avoid this. So you can just grab the meat, make a jerky, drop it to your backpack, and you sort it, and you can go around, and it gives you relatively good food. It never runs out, and so on and so on. And it's pretty easy to make. You just have to have the tailoring bench, which is not really expensive. And at the point you reach the jerky, you already have the tailoring bench, obviously. Third category is food that gives you 1 to 3 wellness. So it start to get a little bit better, and you start to build up your health and your stamina in here. First of all, we have the pumpkin cheesecake, which gives you 10 food. The good thing about the cheesecake is it gives you bartering for buying stuff, not for selling stuff, for buying stuff, 5%. Same like vanilla, but also gives you 2 wellness. After that, we have the orange marmalade. It's a part of the recipe, although you can eat it raw. Well, it's not raw, but you can eat it straight from the jar. Gives you 15 food and 2 wellness. You can see the stats on the screen. We have the vegetable soup, similar. 15 food, 5 health, water, max stamina bonus, current wellness 2. Banana pancakes. I never do pancakes in the game. It's worthless unless you really like cooking in a game. But if you like cooking in a game, it's better to go and make yourself a meal in real life instead of just cooking in a game but thousands of pancakes. But that's just my opinion. However, the stats are on the screen. Food 15, health 5, stamina bonus 5, wellness 2. Steak and potato meal gives you better food. It's 20 food and 2 wellness as well. Vegetable stew, same thing. Gives you 20 food, it gives you more water, it gives you 20 water, and max stamina bonus of 20, not 10. Current wellness 2 as well. Blueberry pancakes, 20 food, so better than the banana pancakes by 5, and gives more max stamina bonus. So blueberry pancakes are better. If you really want to make pancakes, the blueberry pancakes are better. And marmalade on toast, that's why you needed the marmalade. And bread. Um, it's pretty standard, 20 food, 5 health. It's good to make it. I mean, it's easy to make it when you make a bread and when you make the steak sandwich, because when you go design your game, so you make a lot of bread and make the steak sandwich, the next progression will be to jump to marmalade on toast because it actually gives you wellness. So marmalade on toast is better than a steak sandwich. I disagree with this, but that's how it is. Next, we have an apple pie, which gives you 2 wellness as well, and pretty standard 20 food, 5 health. Blueberry pie, same thing. Pumpkin pie, same thing. Pumpkin bread, same thing. And meat stew, same thing. A part of the water it gives you, as all stews gives you water, which is logical. Meat stew also gives you 20 water. From this category, if I will have to do something, I would go to marmalade on toast from bread from the previous category and steak and potato meal because ingredients are really easy to find. And I would avoid the meat stew because of the next category we will talk in a second. But those are the stats for all the food from this category. Next category, we have the food that gives you 4 to 5 wellness. First, we have sham chowder. It's made a different way than in vanilla because you have to use the sham sandwiches instead of can of sham, which makes can of sham kind of worthless to pick it up. From can of sham, you can only make the sham soup, which gives you 20 water and no wellness. Which early on, yeah, of course, early on you pick up all the food you can have. Later on, I just avoid picking it up because it's waste of space. Next one is fish tacos. That's why I don't make the fish sandwiches. because with a little bit of effort you can jump to fish tacos, which gives you twice as much of wellness and 2 more food. Next one we have chili dogs. So the can of chili we used to use for the chilies with the bowl at the beginning of the game, you can make the chili dogs from it, which are better and they give you more wellness, of course. Next one is the hobo stew. The hobo stew, in my opinion, is the best stew in the game because it gives you twice as much of food than the meat stew, and the recipes are relatively the same, more or less the same. The only difference, I think, is the spoiled meat between the meat and maybe the animal fat. I'm not quite sure, but you can check it. Although the hobo stew, even if you make it the same way, it actually gives you twice as much of food. This is my go-to food for most part of the game. The last category, it's not a category, but the last line is the food that gives you 5 wellness. All this food gives you 5 wellness. 5 is the most of the wellness you can get from the food. So this is the fastest way. When you get this food, is the fastest way to actually level up your health. We have the meat bolognese and the veggie bolognese, which are the same. They have the same stats. You can see on the screen. After we have the roast dinner, which gives you 40 food, so more food and twice as much of the max stamina bonus. So it's better for the stamina. We have the shepherd's pie, which gives you 60 food. 60 is the highest number you can get on food. So it's worth to have it at some point in the base. It's worth to have this. So you can use this food in between of different tasks. You don't have to eat multiple items at once. You can just eat one of those and that's it. Spaghetti, same stats. Tuna fish gravy toast, same stats. And the gumbo stew, same stats plus 20 water because it's a stew. The reason I said the hobo stew is the best stew in the game is because it's really hard to make gumbo stew and the resources to make it are limited. For the hobo stew, the recipe is quite simple. For the gumbo stew, you have to buy the can or find the can of the food, large beef and peas, I believe. So it's much easier to make the hobo stew. And even though that the gumbo stew gives you more food, the hobo stew is easier. The last category is the special food. This is the food which gives you some of the side effects as well, the positive side effects. I believe this will be the most interesting part of this video. First of all, honey gives you food, so it's a considered food, obviously. Also cures infection. So it's worth to use it to cure infection instead of using it for the food. However, you can use it for the food if you don't have any other food. I would use it as the last one because the cure infection is not the best part of the jar of honey. I mean, it is, but there is something even better. You can make the ink out of it, so you can actually progress. So you have to have this item to actually progress in a game. Beer is in this category because of the stamina regen, rolling damage, and stun resist. Sticky apple, you can make it. It gives you a sugar rush. It gives you some buff as well. We can use it. And you get a buff from sap. It's, it keeps the stamina. So it's really easy to make it. You have to have the sap. There is a way to get the sap, but it gives you a little bit of the boost. So it might be worth to use it. In my opinion, it's too short, the boost. The time of the boost, it should be like 1 minute or something. No one digests the sugar that fast. I mean, if you do, consider yourself lucky. But it gives you this side effect as well. Mega Crush, because of the run speed and the melee damage and so on. Be careful to use it. I forgot to mention it earlier. Be careful to use it because when you use it, you can get the side effect. After this 3 minutes, you can get the side effect and it will slow you down. So you have the 2 minutes, you can run faster and so on, and after that it will be debuff. as well. It might be the debuff. I think there is a chance to get a debuff. That I don't know how it's called. It's exhaustion or addiction or something like that. However, you get a debuff from it. After is pumpkin cheesecake because it gives you bartering for buying 5%, coffee because of the cold resist, so it's additional thing. The pure mineral water because of cure dysentery and efficient digestion, red tea because of the efficient digestion, goldenrod tea because of the cure dysentery. And now the interesting part. The vegetable bolognese and the meat bolognese, when you eat it, it actually gives you the eye candy, which is awesome. You can see in here that for 1 minute increase the loot quality, which is good, and that's why you should consider going through the food, and you should consider leveling up at some point the food, because it's increasing your loot quality. It's the same like loot candy in the vanilla game. The roast dinner, it gives you the same side effect as a health bar, so increase your max health and resistance and so on. So basically it's the same buff like from the health bar. The shepherd's pie gives you hackers, which is also awesome. It's another candy. So the salvaging with the tools, it's the amount of the salvage is 20% better. After we have spaghetti, which is sugar butts. I mean, the better barter, basically. It's the same like the sugar butts candy. It gives you the better prices. After we have the tuna fish gravy toast, which is skull crushers. Also, the candy. It's better to find. It's better to fight. It's increase the melee damage. Sorry. And the last one is the gumbo stew. The gumbo stew, it gives you something called limber up, which increase your mobility by 20%. I don't think it is in a game. I think this is unique for the Darkness Falls, but there you have it. So the food that gives you 5 wellness, it also has the side effects really shorter than in vanilla, but it really gives you the side effects of some of the candies. So it might be worth to go through it, and it might be worth to actually use it and to aim to make some of this food instead of using the resources to make the worse food, worse in a way, because you actually get the additional thing in here. So that's it. All the food you can make in a game. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy it.